All right, let's set the stage for this one. Today in Portland, protesters are pushing the city to investigate a local tech firm they say is linked to Israeli military drones, raising big questions about transparency and who gets city support.
I'm Leah.
And I'm Garrett.
Welcome to Laid Back Local, the news of the day with Leah and Garrett from Portland, Oregon. First up, Oregon inmates are facing turmoil after sentence reductions were unexpectedly reversed. Quick background. In 2025, the Oregon Supreme Court opened the door for judges to credit people for time they had already spent in jail before sentencing, and that led to more than 380 sentence reductions last summer and fall. Then in November 2025, Governor Tina Kotek paused those recalculations, following backlash from prosecutors and the public. The pause triggered confusion in prisons and among families. Some people who had been released were told to return. 17 people did go back to prison, and 10 later regained their freedom through court rulings. One person at the center of this, Dylan Sanchez, whose sentence had been shortened, was told in February 2026 that 10 months were added back. Then in April 2026, the Oregon Department of Corrections, known as ODOC, issued detailed written guidance to clarify how recalculations would work. 2 points to understand. First, the Supreme Court ruling only applied when a person's judgment of conviction included specific language about credit for time served, that is, a narrow doorway. Second, early communication was messy. Misinformation created false hope for inmates and put victims and their families on an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, that checks out. It's a gut punch for people who thought they were headed home sooner. The pause without clear, timely communication felt, like bureaucracy moving the goalposts mid-game. And it's wild how the administrative chaos here didn't get as much coverage as the legal fight itself.
Why pause it at all? If the court ruling set the parameters, what pushed the brakes?
Short answer: public pressure and process. Prosecutors and members of the public raised concerns about fairness to victims and how the credits were being applied, so Governor Kotek paused the recalculations in November to sort out the details. ODOC then put clearer instructions in writing by April. It's a classic fix-the-plane-while-flying situation, not great for anyone on board. All right, let's roll on. Activists in Portland are urging the city to investigate Sightline Intelligence, a local company that makes AI-supported video tech used in drones. Activists say Sightline's products were shipped to Elbit Systems, an Israeli arms manufacturer, and that those sales could violate United Nations arms agreements. They want to make sure no city resources help enable those deals. Here's what we know. Cargo records show shipments to Elbit Systems in late 2024 and multiple times in 2025. Sightline says it follows the law and that its technology has a range of uses beyond military applications. There's a local wrinkle. Activists point out a Sightline promotional video once included unauthorized footage of the aerial tram at Oregon Health and Science University on Markham Hill. One disputed question: it's unclear whether Sightline gets any resources or incentives from the city of Portland.
Let's unpack this. The strategy here is local leverage. Activists want transparency and aim to challenge federal support for Israel by cutting off local cooperation where they can. Real talk. Even if a company says it complies with export laws, the community still deserves clarity on what the city may or may not be supporting. A city review would put facts on the table and calm some of the heat with information.
Why target the city in particular? Why not go straight to federal rules?
Local action is faster and closer to home. City leaders can audit whether public sources are involved, like tax breaks or grants, and can set local contracting standards. It's the idea that change can start where you live, even while federal rules keep doing their thing. Okay, let's move on. The CEO of Home Forward, that's Multnomah County's housing authority, has resigned. Ivory Matthews stepped down, effective in May 2026, following scrutiny over travel expenses that were paid with public funds. Home Forward provides housing vouchers and rent assistance to more than 16,000 households every year. So leadership stability really matters right now. Michael Buonocore will serve as interim CEO while a search gets underway. This comes during a regional homelessness crisis, and while the public is watching closely how housing dollars are spent. Some details of the travel spending that prompted the scrutiny have not been fully disclosed. The agency has committed to reaching a 94% occupancy rate and launching a public data dashboard to increase transparency. Dashboard just means a simple public web page that tracks progress.
It's tough timing. Serving thousands of households, any leadership shakeup can ripple through the system. Not gonna lie, without a clear accounting of the travel costs, trust takes a hit. The commitment to a public dashboard is a good step. Now they have to nail the follow-through. Let's keep it moving. Portland City Council has officially adopted a transportation utility fee. In plain English, it's a monthly charge added to your water and sewer bill to help pay for streets and safety projects. The Portland Bureau of Transportation, or PBOT, says the fee will start in January 2027 and bring in about $46 million a year. PBOT has a long to-do list. The maintenance backlog is over $6 billion. The council passed the fee 9-3, aiming to create steady funding after years of false starts. The idea is to reduce how much PBOT relies on car drivers alone for money and better align with climate goals. Critics push back that the fee is not tied tightly to how much you drive and could hit non-drivers unfairly.
Equity is the key test. If the city wants community buy-in, the rollout needs to feel fair and transparent, with clear rates and relief options for people who might be burdened. Implementation in 2021 gives time to tune it. Let's not let this one slide by without details people can understand at a glance. Last up, Portland's top public safety leader is leaving. Bob Causey, the Deputy City Administrator for Community and Public Safety, will step down in May 2026. He previously ran the Bureau of Emergency Communications for 7 years. That's the 911 and dispatch center. His portfolio is big. The Public Safety Service area has more than 2,200 employees and a $611 million budget. The city is facing a $160 million budget gap for the next fiscal year, so the timing is sensitive. City Administrator Raymond Lee III will oversee public safety while a national search begins. The reason for Causey's departure was not immediately clear. He will receive a year of pay, totaling $275,808 upon his exit.
This one's got some depth to it. Leadership turnover during a budget crunch makes planning harder, and public safety is where uncertainty stings fast. I'm down for that interim plan if it keeps operations steady, but the city needs a clear timeline and criteria for the permanent hire so people know what to expect as summer approaches.
That's the takeaway for this one from Portland, Oregon.
Thanks for riding along today. Stay curious and have a great day.